Hello, Alexis. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Scaling Deep podcast.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about your membership journey. So why don't you start a little bit just telling us more about yourself, your business, how you got here?
Yeah, well, I started out doing social media management because that's kind of my zone of genius, if you will. I really
Oh,
enjoy like ethical social media. And I know you've stepped away from the social medias,
no,
but
I'm coming back, coming back.
okay, okay, good, good.
But I'm glad I'm meeting
And
you
I
now because I
found,
know this is a nudge in the right direction.
but I found that a lot of the sort of questions and the people I started to work with were very much sort of neurodivergent people who were just like completely overwhelmed by social media. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff to do on social. There's a lot of stuff to distract you. And so I ended up running an Instagram 101 workshop, which attracted primarily neurodivergent people who were like, yeah, Instagram's a lot. And I was
It is a lot. Like
approach
I feel like we need to have a side conversation about that because I've been looking around at it and going, I don't understand how many things you have to post on this platform compared to other things where it's just like, here's the one post and you can choose what kind of post. It is gotten to the point where I find it completely not over, like, I don't really like consuming it because it's so random that I don't even, and so it's like, how do you get yourself on it when you don't feel like even watching it or seeing it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, that is a common problem, especially now that they are trying to be all things to all people.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, which is an excellent business strategy, of course. But yeah, and I kind of found that I was just attracting people who were like, yeah, I'm just totally overwhelmed by social media, and I essentially they need somebody to just go, yeah, you can do it differently. Like you don't have to do it that way. It's okay. Which feels like I kind of feel a bit of a fraud to just be like having a membership that's like me saying, yeah, you don't have to do it that way. What way works for you? But I mean, people get so in their heads and so stressed out about because obviously there's so much out there that's like you have to do it this way. Here is your 5-step Instagram strategy for success. If you don't do this, you will not succeed. If this happens, and people are just like, can't. I'm trying to run a business and I'm trying to do life stuff and I'm trying to exist and not be sleep deprived or whatever. And I don't have the time to
Or
be
even the
full time on social
application.
media.
Like I'd have to say that that idea of here's a way to do it. And this is what I find when I'm following a step-by-step thing and I don't want to do one of the steps, it makes me question the whole thing. And of course there's nuances, but when someone was saying, well, here's how you get started on TikTok. You post 3 times a day for 1 week, and then you figure out da da da. And I was like, I can't start because I could probably do one a day because that's all I have the bandwidth. And that was in 2 months ago. That was in November. So I haven't started yet because I was only able to ever backlog enough for one a day. So I just was like, no, it's all or nothing. So I think, oh, I can already see the benefit of your membership, right? Helping people figure out the nuances.
Exactly. And I think what I often end up saying to people is like, your audience is not the same as their audience. You know, if you're looking at this person's advice, I mean, yeah, that probably did work for them. Good for them. But unless you want the exact same people, it's probably not going to work for you. You've got to find what actually is feasible for you to do because, like you say, you don't want to be in a situation where you go, okay, I'm going to do the 3 posts a day on TikTok. And then you just totally burn yourself out after a week and don't post for the next 6 months.
Right.
That's not going to get you anywhere. That's silly. Don't do that. You're much better off going, I'm going to post 3 times a week because that seems doable to me. I feel like I can do that. Maybe I can batch them, schedule them, do them that way. Then I only need to have like the brain power once a week to get in front of the camera and act like I care about TikTok. That feels much more achievable and you're showing up regularly so people do start to find you and get to know you. Are you going to go viral? Probably not. But you're going to gradually build an audience that gets it and that understands you and that wants what you're putting out.
Totally. Love it. Okay. So when you were doing social media management, how did you transition to the membership, the done sort of for you or done with you to the DIY, right? A membership is essentially a DIY. I mean, there are memberships that have like more of a mastermind level, but they're often not really a pure membership if there's a lot of like personalized service. So tell me a little bit more about like maybe the why and the how you transitioned.
After I ran the Instagram 101 workshop, I chatted with a coach. He was like, you're very good at teaching. The feedback was amazing. Have you thought about like a membership or running regular workshops or something? And I was like, no, I could never. Turns out imposter syndrome is a thing. Um, so I'm also one of these people who's very like, when I finally decide I'm going to do it, I just do it.
Mm.
I don't do the planning. I'm just like, okay, I'll do it. So one day, I literally just woke up and was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to try the membership thing. And I just started figuring out how it worked, threw it out there. And I have discovered it is something I really, really love. I really enjoy it because not only do I get to talk to people and see them grow and feel more confident and feel like, oh yeah, I can do it this way. It doesn't matter what other people are saying. Amazing. Social media isn't the worst. I also get to see the people who are further ahead, if you like, who have been there longer, who have been doing it longer and have their own systems, talk to the brand new people, and I get to see this community support each other as well. And actually, I put a post up in the membership before Christmas that was like, can I just say, thank you so much for being such an amazing community because I just love watching you cheer each other on and share your advice. And nobody is ever like, you just need to watch this training. Why haven't you seen that yet? Everybody's just like, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? This is how it works for me. Yeah, that's hard. That sucks. I'm sorry. It's just amazing.
Isn't it? Oh, I love hearing that. I think that's just, it's so heartwarming to see the growth and see the collaboration and then also see the support. And I think too, just having that space that you, if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be there learning that thing. And if you really believe in that thing you're teaching or that ease that you're giving them around the thing they need to learn, it's such a great feeling. Um, did you, when you said, okay, I just woke up one day and decided, because I love that. I think a lot of people do, but then they get stumped with, well, okay, there's so many ways, things I can ask you. So they get stumped with how, but they also get stumped with who. So maybe I'll ask you about the who. Did you think about the who? Because if not, we can talk about that later. Because I know now you know who your crowd is. Did you know that at first?
Not specifically. I thought it was more overwhelmed business owners. And then it kind of naturally grew towards just neurodivergent business owners who do happen to be overwhelmed, but I attract the neurodivergents because I am. But yeah.
Yeah, so I love that though, because it's like you kind of knew there was a problem, but you didn't necessarily know what this how to describe it. And then it came, which is cool because I mean, we often don't really know who we focus on. Like, I've always said service providers. And then my mentor recently said, well, do you want just service providers? I'm like, but isn't everyone a service provider? And I think to her, that signaled something different. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I use like experts or niche experts, because basically I want to help anyone who has a skill set they're really passionate about and knows enough about business to know that they, or at least completely confident of their craft so that they could go into the figuring out the membership because it's a complex business model. So but I didn't really have that right terminology or that thing I could settle on. And it was okay because it took me like a year and plus to figure that out, but it didn't mean I didn't start. So it's like having that foundation of like, okay, I know the tech or I know the onboarding, I have the sales mechanisms, you have all that stuff. And then you can amplify, right? When you get that specificity starts to like really become clear. So I love that you did that, because I think people who are trying to perfect that big like market launch, or it's not the way of most business, but also not the way of memberships.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was, for me at least, it was really nice for it to shift naturally that
Yeah.
way. Because I think I also had a lot of imposter syndrome around even using the term neurodivergent and being like, I'm for these because I was like, who am I to think I can solve these people's problems? Everybody's brain is different. How can I help all of these people and claim that?
And
And
it's an
but
interesting term
because
because it's more
yeah.
come up, I think, I don't know, more, I guess, recently in the world. And I mean, I am so curious. I'm like, what does that even include? Because it probably is a bit of a self-selection that isn't as, I mean, I don't know if it's an actual medical term that has a
I,
category
I
or
guess it's more of a social grouping term. Is it
right.
essentially anybody who doesn't have a, and I use this term loosely, normal brain, which
Which is like half
includes
the world that we're discovering at this point.
a huge amount of people.
Yeah.
So it's anybody from like mental illness to ADHD, autism, stuff like that. Anybody whose brain is functioning differently and therefore bringing up certain blocks or problems or making interacting with things in the world differently more difficult because the world is not set up for brains that are different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite a lot of people, really.
So I love that. So it's clear and it'll attract the people who it'll attract, right? And even if someone is, but they don't identify that way, or that's not their biggest pain point, and it's not the overwhelm and it's not social media, then they won't necessarily be attracted to it. And that's a good thing, right? If we're repelling anyone, it means we're attracting others. And it's so true.
Yeah. One of the most interesting things for me has been that like some people who have joined and been like, I'm not neurodivergent, but this really resonates with me. And then like 6 months later, they're like, I'm going for an assessment. And then suddenly it's like, okay, so turns out, and I'm like, welcome.
I love it. Oh, it's so fun. Okay. Do you think it takes a certain personality to run something that's got, I mean, look, any business, I guess, a big launch because nerve-wracking and, and high ticket programs with a lot of expectations is nerve-wracking for sure. But there is something about a membership that you kind of have to really let go a little bit and allow things to emerge and not be so maybe attached to things happening a certain way. Like, even this is the thing that even happens with me. Certain members I'll kind of get, because I'm still small ish and it's growing quickly, but I still know, I think almost, well, actually that's not true. I know half the people in there, and I especially know the people who joined like 5 months ago. And even some of them, I'm like, how come they're not participating as much? And I'll get sort of like attached to certain people. So it's like thinking that they're the ones that are going to take this and do something with it, or, be the success story, or, it's interesting. It's just how we really have to let go. Or some people never showing up to the calls or community. And yet you've kind of like, oh, I've sort of made these calls so that someone from New Zealand can actually come to them. And then they don't. And you're like, and it's just so interesting how it's a lesson in humility around like, just let go, let go, let the
Yeah.
people who show up and do your best for everyone. But you can't, it's not like that group program where almost everyone's going to show up every week.
Yeah, yeah, and it has been. I'm kind of a control freaky person by nature, and so it has definitely been a very steep learning curve of learning to be like, just let it happen. Like it's okay if it evolves on its own. It's okay if people can't make it to the calls. It's okay for you to book the calls for times that work for you and not try and make it suitable for absolutely everybody. That's okay. They're recorded. It's fine.
I love that. I
Yeah,
know. I have to remind myself of that all the time.
yeah. I know
So
that I
yeah,
think it gets easier to a degree, but I do still have to remind myself and be like, no, chill out. It's okay.
yeah, because it's really hard to serve everyone in the whole world, and then people who might have schedule conflicts, even though the time zone works, right? So okay, so I'm curious though, like when you started, How many members did you start with? Like, how did you launch? Oh, I'm super interested in knowing, like, when you made that decision, what did you do?
I did a 5-day Instagram challenge in my free Facebook group.
And do you have a big
And
Facebook
which is
group?
no, it was only about 100 people.
Okay.
Actually, it might have been less at the time. But I ran a 5-day Instagram challenge and about 3 or 4 people joined. And I was like, why? And I spoke to a cat coach about it who was like, I mean, you kind of gave away everything. I was like,
I did that
that'd do
and no
it.
one joined.
Um,
I made that last mistake. Never again.
yeah.
Very
So
different sales
that
funnel
was that
now.
was that was also a really big learning curve for me because I was like, I want to give the value. I want people to get a feel for what's going to happen and that kind of thing. And the feedback on the challenge was amazing. Everybody was like, this is so useful. This is incredible. This is the best. And then it was just like, only the real like die-hard fans of people who've been following me for a while joined. And I was like, okay, there's more of that if you join. So yeah, I tried a few more launches. I am not great at the launches, not gonna lie. It's definitely not my thing. I've tried a few different things, and I think I'm just not because I'm naturally an overgiver as well.
Mhm.
So I find it so difficult to pitch it where there is enough that people are like, yeah, this is amazing. I want more of this, but not so much that they're like, well, I got everything. I can do it all.
It's an art and a science, and it's very strategic. And I learned again after that big thing that I did where I gave away everything. And then I actually didn't do another launch because I think I was launched burnt out. And I also came across someone who was offering a really good deal on an well, not an intro program, a pilot program to developing evergreen system. And I just literally someone I really was kind of watching how they were running their business, someone I'd met, and she suggested it to a small group. And I just thought, okay, well, I have no idea what this is, but it's something to do with sales. And I have a sales problem. So I got on the call and I was like, oh, this is what I need. And I followed it to a T. And that's the thing about launching. And I think that's where not like some people have a knack for it, or they know just the right amount, or they have super fans, or the setup is sort of there that even if they don't perfect it, and I don't mean perfect it, but like even if they don't have the right components of things, people are kind of waiting, or they have a really unique value proposition. There's all these reasons, right? But then most other people who are in highly competitive markets dealing with people who don't know them very well have to follow the formula with different things inside, but it's like the structure has to contain the transformation more than here's the things that you are going to do on your checklist. Bye, have fun. It has to stay high level. Like there's sort of a structure to it. And I think that a lot of us don't know that. And when we try to emulate somebody else's big launch, we're just like, oh, I'll just kind of follow that pattern, but we're missing the difference between what they're actually saying and what we are actually saying. It's like totally different. I bet you could be good. I was just going to say.
Thank you. I think it is something I want to try again because I ran the end of last year. I decided I was going to close the doors so that I could essentially rejig the whole thing and be like, I wanted to reorganize how the videos are stored and how all the content was stored and how it ran and that kind of thing. So I ran a discounted annual membership, got a few people in on that, and then closed the doors. So now I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm going to sort this out and then I'm going to launch. I have no idea how I'm going to do it yet,
Yeah.
but I am going to relaunch it with a launch. So we'll see how well that one goes.
I relaunched with my evergreen webinar. So it was so I'm just saying, I think there's different ways to do it because so many people do live webinars and I didn't have the skill set at the time, I think, to do it. I think it's hard to do a really great live webinar. I think you have to be really prepared. So doing a evergreen, I scripted it, and it's very like contained. So I don't have the tendency, I have the tendency to like maybe talk too much about one particular story or add in something. And then the next thing I know, it's like 2 hours long, maybe, who knows, right? And or not mention the things that are like, oh no, this is the point, that even though I'm bored of hearing it, because I've said it 100 times and thought about it 1,000 times, no one else has heard this. So I think that's where the live part can be pre-recorded even, right? Like not the live, but the launch can be varied. I think it's just an opportunity that when you do close the doors, you have that anticipation. And some people will be kind of like, oh, she's not this has not been available for a while, and now this is a priority for me. So yeah, you'll figure it out for sure.
Yeah, I will. It's just first task, sort out the actual changes. Step number one.
Well, tell me a little bit about those changes. Like what did you, I mean, I'm curious to know about your platforms and tech, like where you're hosting things and why you like what you have.
The minute my videos are on Searchy, but it is just the videos, and the links to them and the sort of text and information and stuff is all on a Notion board.
Okay.
And then also on the Notion board, there is like all the dates for the calls, dates we do it together sessions multiple times a week as well. So people actually action stuff.
Interesting.
And then there's also like social media news, but in like English for people who aren't tech bods. So that everything is in one place. Which is what I wanted. And now I have realized that it is quite overwhelming for people to kind of sign up and then be presented with this Notion board with all of the content on it.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was going to say, I haven't heard anyone using a project management software for their membership. I mean, all kinds of things. People use Google Drive. I'm like, to start out, like it can be that simple. But I haven't heard that. And what about your community?
It's a Facebook group at the moment, which is something, when I first launched it, Facebook groups were the thing. And then a lot of people started shifting off Facebook groups, and I was like, I kind of want to, but also my membership is about social media. So it feels a little bit counterintuitive to be like, I mean, we're going to talk about social media, but none of anything is going to actually be on social media. So I'm still umming and ahhing about what I do with the community, whether I leave it where it is or whether I move it.
Yeah.
So that is something I am also trying to figure out. But the reason I went with Notion is because I'm just kind of a Notion fangirl.
Yeah. Well, I always say to people, I mean, do what you love, and if you're into it enough, you're going to show up better. And there are certain limitations of how easily people are going to be able to use the things that they have. So we want to make sure that we love it and it's doable for the crowd. And so there's nothing wrong with being on Facebook. I mean, I think that a lot of groups are fairly engaged on, there's more engagement, I'd say, on Facebook.
Yeah.
Until there's not, maybe. So, I mean, that I think can sort of change at times unpredictably, but whatever it is, you just need to find your way of like bringing people back in, and the topics that are juicy and all that. Right. And then I think consolidating it so it's easy for us, because this is what I've realized, pulling people in and out of things, new members, cancellations, you name it, over time at a certain number of people gets a little hectic, right?
Yeah, that is something else I am trying to sort out, is the sort of streamlining from my side of things, so that I'm essentially, I want to be just upload the video to Searchy, put the text right there, and then they can find it. It's fine. They've got the hub link. It's okay. I don't need to put it anywhere else. And just make it easier and smoother for me, because it's the like behind the scenes stuff that I love less. Don't hate it, but it does get a little bit frustrating sometimes.
Well, and that's what most people, when they say to me their hesitation about running a membership, a lot of them is this sort of time consuming part of figuring it out and sort of admin. And of course, for people who love to teach and train and coach, they want to just spend time with people. Or some people are just content producers, but that's still like that hands-on time versus the like technical admin part. And that's kind of why I am a big proponent of not having really super low ticket. Or if you're going to do that, you have to have that system. You have to be prepared to go for the volume and then create the system that allows the volume to be okay. Like, if you're going to have a very low ticket membership, I probably wouldn't have a platform that didn't have automatic cancellations, because I wouldn't want to be manually canceling, especially at like $7 or $9 memberships, right? Like there's those ones. So it's interesting to think about that. What is worse, the people who cancel because they can easily versus just paying forever, because they've forgotten about it or it's too much of a hassle. Like, I don't know if I really believe that's an ethical business model. or the ease of just knowing that something is flowing at that level. But then there's this whole other level of like being the membership being the way that you really want to deliver. And that's how you really want to help people. And then I think we're okay with charging for that. And I think that as long as that value is there, people will be happy.
Yeah. And I do think you're so right. It is, you've got to know that the value is there and you've got to be passionate about it. Because I have noticed that's something that I have found is that I really, once I launched the membership, I was like, "Oh, this is what lights me up. This is what I really enjoy." And because I enjoy it so much, I know it comes across because people can tell that I care. Like when we get on the calls and they're like, "Oh, I can't do this. Help, I'm totally stressed out." They know I genuinely care because I'm like, I got plans, I got strategies, let's do it, let's sort it for you. So I'm not showing up like, oh God, you're paying me $9. And I really don't think that I don't want to give you $300 worth of advice. $9.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's
That's not the
important.
energy people want.
Yeah. I mean, I think also too, there's this idea of when people are paying for something, they will actually show up and pay attention. And some of that is that commitment because they're saying, well, I got to get this ROI from this, especially B2B. And I think it helps us create more success stories too. Like I want to work with people who are taking action. I mean, if someone really just wants to come in and do the course part and then, simmer on it, I think the value is still there. Especially because I charge for 6 months. Like I have a 6-month initial commitment because I think there's a lot of value that you can get right away. And you don't have to do all the things. You will learn how to start and launch your membership if that's where you're at. But then the whole point is that some people don't need that up front and they need pieces of it. But then they're like, I have a membership and I need to figure out this marketing and sales. So that's kind of the rest of the piece, the ongoing piece, right? Because it's always ongoing. So, but it's still that idea that like some people will consume all that and then they will be okay with that. And it's that idea, like I stand by that value, and they're still getting a ton out of it because I know that the content is there, but at the same time, there's people who are super engagers and they're just like, whoa, this is the best thing ever. It is almost mastermind level for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because taking action is something that I've noticed was a real problem for the
Mm,
people who were showing up like in my membership and were like, okay, I've done the training, it was great, I'm not gonna do it. And I was like, okay, how do we make it actually happen? And that's how like the do it together sessions were kind of born, was because people were like, I mean, it's not in my calendar. And it's like it's on my to-do list, but it's the bottom because I've got client work and stuff at top of it. Like it's just not gonna happen. I was like, okay, so what if? So now we have all these do it together sessions so people can show up and be like, okay, this is what I'm working on. And some of them actually this year are also like business learning do it together sessions for people to actually go through the courses they already own and actually do them. So I think sometimes you just need that external motivation of somebody to go, okay, look, this is what we're doing. It's in your calendar. I have booked your time, so you're going to show up and do it.
Totally. Prioritization and accountability is a real thing. And it's a real reason to have a membership. Some people, that's the main thing they need. And so how do you, with a self-led program where people have to show up, how do you make it easy by like, you've got to tap into that thing they need the most. And it isn't any more information. It's just the implementation. And so then by you figuring that out, you've got your value prop right there, and they're going to get their ROI just from saying it's in my calendar and I have no choice. Like this is the way to get value. I love that. So you figured out what your members need more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am lucky, I think, that they're very vocal. They're very happy to be like, okay, I mean, this is working for me, but it would be better if, or this is, I'm really struggling with this. And I don't know if that's something you can help with, but if you can, maybe how help. And so I do appreciate that they are so happy to talk to me about stuff, whether it's posting in the Facebook group and other people being like, oh yeah, I would need this too, or emailing me privately and being like, I'm really struggling with this thing. Can we actually, like, do you have any tips? Do you have any like resources, or is this something we could figure out?
Helps you come up with content, right? And that,
Yeah.
yeah. So what is your big dream for your membership? Like, where do you want to be in a year's time? Like, I'm just want to know where you're going with this, because everyone's got a different goal and model. And, some people want lots of volume. Some people want more hands-on. Like, it's just so interesting to kind of see the diversity in these types of programs. So where would you be stoked to be?
I would love to have several hundred people in the membership and but still be hands-on. I don't want it to become a sort of sideline thing where I'm like, okay, I've grown this now. I'm going to let it kind of run itself. I want to still be showing up in it, because what I enjoy about it is seeing people grow and seeing people be inspired and feel validated and like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, actually, I can do this. I do know what I'm doing. It's okay. I got it. So yeah, I want it to grow so that I could keep doing it, basically, so that I could be like, yeah, this is my main thing,
Would you give up?
basically.
Would that be your main thing? Do you think you would just do that and maybe have, yeah, what would you?
I would probably have that and then just do sort of one-to-ones, so that if people wanted more one-to-one support, increased like more coaching style,
Yeah.
more accountability, more like time with me to work on something specific, or just more accountability broadly. Um, but I would love for it to be like the main thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, I love it. It is fun, right? It's a slow. I said to somebody we had a group call for my membership yesterday, and I said, here's the thing. I said, the membership is going to take a little while to get going. And at first it's almost going to be like, why am I doing this? Because it's way too little for the amount of effort. But I just said the long-term payoff is incredible. Like, once you get that, that positioning and that sales system dialed, and you've got this like flow of your content, and you really know what to bring up and how to come up with ideas, it is like incredibly flexible, profitable, fun. But it does not start out that way. So it's like a long-term vision. And I think that you can grow incrementally and still be somewhere, whereas so many people think that if it doesn't take off right away, then it's not worth it. And they should have done something else, or at least had these clients one-on-one. But it's not an entrepreneurial mindset, like nobody creates a beta product and goes, oh, I spent $10,000 on this coffee machine, I should have just sold it for $10,000. It's like, no, that's a prototype that you have spent way too much time and effort on, because you're going to replicate it. Right. So I
Yeah.
think it's just
Yeah.
that mindset. And I love hearing that you are so holding that vision. What is keeping you strong holding that vision? Like, what is it that is helping you not have that little doubt come in and go like, oh, what am I doing?
For me, it's the people in the membership.
Mm,
That's what it is. It's seeing the change and hearing the comments and the feedback and knowing like this, I'm on the right track. Like this is helping people. It's doing what I set out to do. It's gonna happen.
So the lesson is just get started, everyone. If you get
It
started, you
really
will have
is.
people to serve, and then you will believe in it more, and it kind of then boosts your confidence. And it is just going to build constantly that
Exactly.
feeling like you're the one that's meant to be doing it, feeling that more people need to be there. And then you get over that, like, oh, what if somebody doesn't show up or something? It's like, I've given them every opportunity. So you just build your confidence because enough people start getting value that you see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
And I
it.
think the other thing is you will learn from the people in the membership. You will learn what they need and who they are so that you can market better and market to the actual right people. Whereas if you spend all your time going, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to figure out who my perfect client is for the next 3 months, you'd learn a lot more, a lot faster if you just opened the membership and were like, okay, come to me. Let's see what we can do.
Totally. I love it. Oh, great advice. Oh, I'm so excited that we spoke. You've got such sort of this like calm wisdom about it. And I think that that's really important, right? Like we've got to believe enough in the vision, and we've got to just take these steps, and it doesn't have to be linear. It can go up and then down again and pause for a while and then start figuring it out. And when you figure it out, you figure it out. And that's when you get to grow. But it's okay to play with people as opposed to playing like on your own and hoping then to just do this thing with other people. So awesome. Thank you so much. Where can people find you and your membership online?
It is socialmediaforhumans.club. And I am on Instagram as Alexis Bushnell. It's my main places.
I cannot wait to follow you and get inspired to tackle Instagram again. Thank you again. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how you grow over the next year or so.
Thank you for having me. It's been really lovely.
Oh, you're welcome.